The first question you probably have is why I'm wearing a damn bag. And I'll tell you what I told people on the street who said that my look is inappropriate and they'll call cops for nudity in public. All geniuses had been freaks before they were geniuses. So don't worry, you'll catch up on the fashion trend. But the next question you probably have is how old is alcoholism? So here we read about it. Okay, so what do we know for sure? We don't know nothing. When people came up with the poison, God knows when. But approximately, the earliest evidence is dating to 7,000 years before Common Era. Chinese came up with some sort of fermented beverage. They used quite domestic products, rice, millet, honey and some fruits, approximately grapes. So here you have it. Approximately the oldest alcoholic drink on earth. Approximately. But you know why you don't really see people drinking that globally today? Because in 6,000 years before Common Era, humans created wine. Not some radioactive randomly mixed beverage, but the grape wine. And of course it happened in the state of Georgia. Where else it could happen except the lovely America? Further on, Greeks also started smashing those grapes. However, those ancient folks were the smart ones. They started studying soils and how different types of grapes affect the taste of wine. They started mixing different sorts of grapes. They pretty much created the new way of winemaking, which they shared with their fellows friends in Italy. Italian wine is not so Italian actually, but Greeks, they created sort of religious aura around the juice. People were drinking it for rituals, they created cults over it. And you know what it sounds like to me? It's a damn alcoholism, creating cults over it, adding it to your religion. Whoo! Not long to selling your house for a bottle. But right, maybe for them it was a god's drink. It made them feel differently and maybe they supposed it was the heaven's gift. But regardless, it seems like a solid reason to let it slide and not assume that ancient Greeks were just straight up alcoholics. Well, what do we have? Almost no evidence of alcoholism yet. But beer's gotta do something, right? It's the gateway drink. Nobody starts their alcoholic journey from wine, and beer was drunk for God knows how long. It was used for rituals in many cultures for many years a long time ago. You know what? More so, the pyramids were built thanks to beer. Every worker got 4 to 5 liters of beer for nutritional purposes only during the constructions of pyramids. Seems like a damn solid reason to get addicted. But it's not all. Approximately 5,000 years ago, folks in Egypt were paid with beer. What the hell is it if not a straight up addiction? Come on, people were willing to do work for beer, or they just didn't have a choice. Also could potentially be the case. However, still with 4 to 5 liters drunk daily, don't you think people would get slightly hooked on the drink? I think it's quite a reasonable reason to say that that's pretty much the beginning of alcoholism. But alright, officially no real evidence. So let's see what the internet will say. Okay, historically the term dipsomania, aka drug addiction, aka alcoholism, was firstly used in 1819 by unexpectedly German. But it's just the term, and for real, people could drink their asses off daily ages before that, and really that's how it was. Because in 1647, almost 200 years before the term appeared, Greek monk Agapos, or Agapos, or I don't know, was the first to document that chronic alcohol misuse leads to several health issues. But were people addicted to alcohol before that? Of course, people have drunk for thousands of years, and in my opinion, we can count ancient Greeks as the first alcoholics out there. Why not those who drank before them? Because I think they were still somewhat afraid of alcohol. And Greeks, come on, there are more pictures where they drink than when they don't. But if not Greeks, ancient Egyptians for sure. Alcohol was just too common, and honestly they just didn't really have an option to keep it all in moderation or not drink at all. Actually, fun fact, in 2005, alcohol dependence and misuse was estimated to cost the US economy approximately $220 billion per year. It's more than cancer.